What makes you think you deserve it?
When you've been working since you were 13, promise mom by everything. Burn so often, fire talking, scars so dark they steal your dreams. Nightmares to the young and clean. Life will rain for some it seems. Pray for days when heaven stays, but you ain't put no work in for the crown. You ain't put no work in for the crown.
Preliminaries as we get on in. All right, guys, sit on tight.
Welcome everybody to the Unplugging podcast. My name is Chris. If you guys didn't see the first episode Tuesday, I'm going to be here behind the screen, behind the thing, pressing buttons, make sure the stream goes right. And let me know if the mic works this time. Leo, you want to?
Yes, sir. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Episode number 2 for this week, all right? Very monumentous here, okay? I hope whoever joined our last stream really had a good time, had a blast. Great conversations, great questions as well. So definitely we're gonna keep the momentum going, okay? Last episode, we talked about what we're up against in the dating market, okay? We talked about some statistics, a plethora amount of statistics actually. So we're gonna go over more into the navigation through the dating scene a little bit more and how to approach it a little bit better, both on the man and women's side, okay? Both of the genders. But the main topic here today, okay? We're gonna talk about some red flags to consider. Now, we talked slightly and briefly about a few red flags on the last episode. I didn't want that to be the main topic, but today we're gonna talk more about that, which is gonna be good. I'm not gonna name 100 or anything like that because I think I wanna talk more about the universal red flags, more on the man side, of course, right? So more universal red flags, really the big ones to consider, and in no numerical order, not from like the greatest to not so great, least to greatest, anything like that, not the worst one, even though I think we can have a small debate on which one would be considerably the worst one out of all of them. So sit tight, guys. Again, we're gonna have some fun here today. Thanks for everybody who's joining us right now on IG. Don't forget, those who are on IG right now, we have our platform also not only on just IG, but YouTube, and Rumble, okay? We have those links on the Unplugging IG account, and we also have a Discord, okay? What I plan on doing, along with my business partner Chris, is that we do want to throw in some studies and some chats and things like that to keep the community engaged a little bit more, okay? So let's grow this community, let's get things going, and let's just build awareness, okay? I do want to build some awareness when it comes to the dating scene. I want both ends, okay? I understand that many of the things we talk about are going to be mostly on helping men and such, but this is going to directly help women out as well, and I do want to talk about the women's side as well. So, great stuff. So, starting off here, okay? And again, questions, if anybody has questions, you guys can go on through. I kind of want to get through the topics first before I start engaging with the questions, just so we can keep the show rolling, okay? I realize I kind of stopped and go a lot. I don't really want to do that this time, but I definitely want to engage with you guys, okay? That's going to be my primary goal, is to really engage with you guys, okay? So go ahead, ask away. Thanks for everybody who's joining right now. I really do appreciate the time you're taking out of your days to really join us. So getting started here, some red flags to consider, okay? So for those who are new to the channel and who are probably wondering what red flags are, even though this might be somewhat obvious and the preliminaries aren't going to be so substantial for everybody, but I kind of want to go through what red flags are in just a brief summary, okay? So red flags are basically the ick, the leg reflex, the whoa, what's going on around here type of energy, right? What I mentioned from the previous podcast, okay, and this is coming from just both sides, the moment you feel that something is a red flag or you feel that there's a survival instinct in which kicks in, you cannot ignore that. I mentioned on our last podcast that when a man goes through a red flag or sees something that just doesn't feel right, we tend to ignore our gut feeling, okay? That's like an objective fact. Men do it all the time, and women do it as well. Because when women see a high value man, okay, when they see a high value man and he's good looking, he can provide, give security, he's checking off all her boxes, but when he starts having certain types of icks, some women, not all of course, some women tend to write them off because the man just has so much to offer, or maybe she just feels so good with the man that she's willing to not bat an eye on certain red flags, which these are conversations I think both men and women have to have with each other, because I do want to get into high value men, high value women, things like that. And we might get into how certain dynamics are when it comes to disloyalty and things like that, because I do want to talk about at some point, whether it's on this episode or on another episode, how loyalty and disloyalty is different on both sides. We're not the same. If I can say this right now, men and women aren't the same, okay? We follow different standards, we play by different rules, and we move through life very differently. But with that said, so a brief summary on the red flags. So the first one I kind of want to talk about here is when we're spotting certain things, and this is again on the men's side, if a man is on a date with a woman, and of course, the preliminaries, we let the woman talk. When women are talking, for you gentlemen, you guys have 2 ears, okay, and 1 mouth. Use them in a ratio. That means listen more and talk less, okay? Of course, if she engages with you, then say some things, and then we'll talk about how the mystery aspect kicks in. But when you're going on a date and such, and of course you're getting all the red flags, one of the things in which you're going to start noticing as you move forward with her, whether it's the second date, third date, fourth date, and so on, okay, is you notice she doesn't let you lead, okay? Now, the reason why I say that, that's considered a huge red flag, is because by nature, and this goes back to the beginning of time, nomadic times, back in ancient Roman times, building society, how we come into America and other countries and such, men are the ones building the infrastructure, okay? And we're basically the ones conquering, we're the ones going out there, we're making decisions, and we run on type A and type B personalities, okay? That means those personality traits are, we have more of a tendency to want things our way, okay? We want to conquer, we want to dominate, we are the ones making decisions so that way it benefits the world and not just ourselves. And we're not going to agree with someone who doesn't really have our own experiences and shares our experiences, or just doesn't go down that path that we are going through. So women by nature, they're followers, and men by nature are leaders. It's been that way for the longest time, and that's a masculine trait. And a woman who follows her man, and of course, when a woman follows a man, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't happen like that. So if I say men are leaders and women are followers, the only way that is going to be accomplished is if a man is very statute with his standards and his masculinity. Because if there's no masculinity that he's offering to the woman doesn't feel that she's in her feminine. And when a woman is not in her feminine, naturally, from the man, she's not going to trust him to lead. And women want a leader. They want a leader. They want someone who they can look up to. They want someone who can give them the best life possible, who's going to make decisions, who's going to give her the best life possible. But in order for her to feel that way, the man has to build value in and out of himself and understand how to lead. I've had conversations with multiple men now at this point, and we don't have guests yet on the podcast, but we will, don't you worry about that. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard stories. I actually heard one not too long ago where a man feels emasculated. He feels that the woman is better than him. He feels that. He doesn't feel like he's leading. He feels that he's not valuable in the relationship. So, of course, I'm inspecting what's going on in the relationship. And unbeknownst to him, I'm telling him, saying, look, I'm going to tell you something right now. If a woman doesn't let you lead, a lot of things are going on. One of them for sure, and you can consider this a red flag, kind of added on to this one. You can coincide this one that I'm about to say with not letting lead, is she doesn't respect you. If a woman doesn't respect you, you best believe she's not going to let you lead. She's just not. Not only that, the decisions you make, she's going to disagree with your decisions more. She's going to be combative. She's not going to be submissive to you. She's probably going to embarrass you a lot in front of your friends and family members. She's going to speak out of turn. There are so many things that happen in a domino effect like style when a woman doesn't let a man lead. So when a man doesn't lead, that's your fault. When a woman doesn't trust you, that's your fault. So I know with this leading thing, it's not on the woman's fault at all. Gentlemen, this is on you. So if a woman doesn't trust you, if she doesn't let you lead, she's not letting you make decisions. She's not entrusting you with basically her life to make sure that you are giving her the best lifestyle, the best experiences. You're not the guy who says, baby, I got us. If you're not that guy who can say something like that or hold your status and you don't know your own value and you can't even uphold it, she will not trust you and she will disrespect you. And it's a perpetual behavior in which happens. It's not something that happens right away. This is something that gradually happens, okay? So with the not leading part, you can see this somewhat right away even on the first date, because what men need to start doing is when you ask a woman out on a date, okay, you cannot go up to a woman going, I was kind of wondering are you busy tonight or do you want to go somewhere? No, absolutely not. That immediately gives icks. And that's a red flag for her right there. That's a female red flag for her. She's gonna say, wow, like the communication's not there, eye contact isn't there, the way he holds himself isn't there, nothing is there. She doesn't feel anything. She's gonna feel something. She's gonna feel icks. She's going to feel icks, and there's no way she's gonna give you the time of the day. She's definitely not gonna do that. Versus you going up to her and you have a plan. What women like to feel when they go out on a date or if they're in a relationship with a man is they want to feel relaxed. They want to feel comfortable. They want to feel like there's no responsibility on them. They don't want to feel like they have to make decisions or anything like that. Like if they say, oh, well, I was thinking we get ice cream or something, that's not really what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when a man goes up to the woman and already has a game plan, already knows immediately in his mind and behooves himself and say, look, I think you're beautiful. I think you're great. I'd like to take you out tomorrow night, 7 p.m. What do you think? I know some places around here in which I think you might find really, really good. I have some networkings, I have some connections and such. I'd like to take you some places. Say it just like that. Now she knows you have a plan, okay? She knows that you didn't give her a reason to think about what she's going to do when she's deciding on a date. Because she's going to decide, all she wants to do is decide if she's going out with you or not. Not, well, where are we going? Or where do I want us to go? No, all she wants to do is, am I gonna go out with this guy? Yes or no? Based on how he approached me, based on what he said, how he looks, how he presents himself. Is he muscular? Does he smell good? Like, we have to do so many things to look presentable and to look desirable to a woman, okay? And that's another thing we talked about on the first episode. The burden of performance is on us. So women are holding us to a standard. We are held to a standard to a point where we really have to check off our boxes. Okay, gentlemen? You have to check off the boxes. I'm not saying you have to, of course, be the perfect man. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have to build, okay? I'm gonna get to that question here. Okay, I wanna finish this point before I move on to the questions and such. So, yeah, the rich thing, we'll get to that, don't worry. So, you have to make the moves. The men have to make the moves. So when you're on this date now, okay, if you're deciding on where to go to eat, you're driving her, and you're moving like you're a leader, you're holding her hand, or she's letting you hold her hand, or you're making her aroused, you're trying to make moves to make her aroused by you, because at the end of the day, she knows already that you're interested in her. And that's the goal. You're not trying to be her friend. Okay, that's one thing I need to get through. When you are on a date, you are not trying to be her friend. That is how you get into the friend zone, gentlemen. Women don't put men in friend zones. It is men who put themselves in friend zones. All women do is open the door and say, if you want to be in the friend zone, here you go. Here's the door. And then you are the one who decides if you're going to be put in the friend zone, okay? So it's not the woman who places you in the friend zone. You are placing yourself in the friend zone. So you have to know right then and there how you're gonna invest your time into this woman. If you feel that you cannot invest time into this woman, then you need to just stop it. Because the thing is, what you need to worry about as a man is, it's not how much she likes you, because she's on a date with you. She already has some level of interest in you. What you have to do as the man is that you need to find out if you're going to like this woman. I'm gonna say that one more time so it sinks in. As the man, you are not worried about how much she likes you because she's already out on a date with you. So there is a level of interest. What you need to worry about is how you're going to like her. Because if she starts showing signs that disqualifies her from you not liking her, then remember, as I said before on the first episode, you are the one who gives the relationship. The relationship, the marriage, the title, the last name, the time, the resources, you are the one who gives all of that. You are the one who surrenders that to the woman from your lifestyle if you choose to give her that much, okay? Women are the gatekeepers of sex. You have to remember that as the man, especially if you're high value, because beautiful women are not a scarcity. High value men who understand their masculine value, we are scarce. We are the ones who are scarce. So you can't move around acting like, well, she's the only beautiful woman in the world. I gotta do something here. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That is the wrong approach. You cannot go in with that perpetually devastating mindset where you're already scrutinizing yourself in the dating marketplace because you have the wrong mindset. So the leading part, as I mentioned before, if she's not letting you lead, meaning that if you go somewhere and let's say you take her out on a date, you want to go to Chili's. Okay, you know Chili's, and of course you don't want to take her somewhere super extravagant because you don't want to lead with your wallet. That's another thing. Don't ever lead with your wallet. Even rich men do this. And any entrepreneur or any successful man will tell you this. Will say, do not lead with your wallet. Maybe not say that verbatimly, but they will say, don't lead with your wallet. Take her somewhere simple, and if she comes up to you and tries to pedestalize herself, and say, oh, I don't do Chili's, cut her off immediately. Cut her off immediately. Because that is a woman who has exacerbated her value in the world, and she is probably one of those super delusional girls who thinks that she deserves everything when she is not willing to put in the work to get even your time of day. So understand that, all right? Definitely have to understand that. So she's not letting you lead, and she disagrees where you take her. She doesn't let you continue conversations, or when you're going out, she's telling you what to do, telling you where to go, and you're trying to tell her or go in certain places, and she's disagreeing with all your decisions. That's a woman who's not letting you lead because she's trying to take on some form of a masculine trait or masculine traits, and she's trying to be equal to you. That's what she's trying to do. Men and women are not equal. I know that's probably going to be a hot take, and we can definitely talk about that, but men and women aren't equal. Again, we don't follow the same standards. We move through life differently, and we have different challenges and different ways about going things, all right? So if a woman already, and this is kind of going to be one of my other points, maybe my fifth point, but when a woman tries to be equal to you, cut her off, because she's going to be a headache to you, a gigantic headache for you. A man who is emasculated by his woman is doomed. There's no hope. You need to move on. You need to tell yourself there are a bunch of women out there who will let me lead, who trust me, who understand my masculine value. I don't have to prove that to her because I know that already. I know that I'm adding to the world's infrastructure. I know how to lead. I know how to give this woman the best lifestyle ever. I can give her experiences. You as a man have to know that. But what some young men don't understand is when you're young and you're going into college and you have school and you have like a 9-to-5 job and you're not really making money, you haven't made it yet, I get that you can't think like that. I get that. A lot of men were like that. But when you take the time to build, you have to sell your potential to women, okay? And this is the same thing when it comes to high school. When it comes to high school, and of course we've all been through high school and such, at least most of us. And when we go through high school, high status for men is when they're on a football team or a baseball team where they're muscular, they're jocks, things like that. Most of the time, they're not gonna get past that. And then the younger girls, of course, that to them, that's high status. That's their hypergamy kicking in. But then after that, I think women are a little bit smarter when they know that there's potential with a man, okay? They understand if they're going to invest in a man based on his potential. So if they see that this jock ended up getting some scholarships to go to college, or there's some scouts that want him to, get into the NFL, things like that, she already knows up here that he has potential and she's going to invest in him. But if we see another guy who's not in sports, but he's a good guy, he's nice, and he has goals and he has ambition, it is up to that man to sell his potential to the woman. He has to sell himself to that woman so that way she invests in him at a young age. And then if things work out well, of course, the courtship and the marriage and they have kids, and if the man happens to flourish, that's what's going to be the ticket for him. All right, that will be the ticket. So that's basically it for not leading. The moment that she does not let you lead, you need to cut her off immediately, because you're in for quite a roller coaster ride if you meet up with a woman who doesn't let you lead, okay? That's a woman who thinks that she's equal to you. She wants benefits of leading, but doesn't want the responsibilities to go along with it. Because when a man leads, he's expected to protect the woman. He's expected to provide. He's expected to have masculinity. Those are things men don't expect from a woman. So if we're not expecting that from a woman, why is a woman trying to adopt these masculine traits and indoctrinate certain policies into her belief system that, oh, if I'm masculine also, if I'm a boss babe, if I'm rich and things like that, men are going to find that attractive? No, absolutely not, okay? Because the more money, this is for the ladies now, the more money a man makes, the richer he is, the less he cares about how much money you make, because it doesn't benefit him. It benefits you, but it doesn't benefit him, all right? Because if he's the breadwinner, he's the one who's bringing home the bread and things like that, working out there, busting his butt, trying to put a dent in the universe. He expects his significant other, his wife, and they have kids, he expects her to be at home, raising the children, nurturing them, being a home builder, and for him to come on home to spend time with her and the kids. That's what men of high value, even if we're following someone who's religious and they have these cultural beliefs, that's what they expect, okay? So keep that in mind. This red flag here, we went into like maybe 3 or 4 altogether in that one. But I'm gonna get into some questions here. Again, thanks for everyone who's following right now, or not following, but coming into our live stream for IG and such. We appreciate that. I kind of want to get into, let me see the questions here. So what if she's rich? See, that's the thing. If she's rich, if a woman is rich, guess what? Her standards are higher. She wants, not only does she still expect the man to lead, because hypergamy kicks in, she still expects the man to lead, but she expects the man to make more money than her. She expects him to have a really, really good job and good potential. Her standards skyrocket. That's really how it is. And usually women who are rich, or they're in that 10 to 15% of people who make the 6 figures and they make 7 figures, things like that, she's not gonna date down. I hope you gentlemen understand that. Women don't date down. No. They're not going to date a homeless guy or someone who works at McDonald's. She won't bat an eye to guys like that. It's the truth. It's the truth. Now, I know there's gonna be some exceptions to the rule where women might date men who are a little bit lower when it comes to socioeconomics, but those don't last. The woman, for the most part, tolerates the man, tolerates him, and maybe she's nice enough to give him some time to build himself back up, but the moment she doesn't see potential in the guy anymore, or he's not endeavorous, or he's not somebody who's a go-getter, either she puts him in a placeholder relationship, she's now in a situationship, well, he's in a situationship with her, or the next guy who comes around, who's much higher status, who's better than her, who makes more money, and she looks up to as a giant, she's gonna monkey branch. She's gonna monkey branch more towards him, and it's curtains for the guy who she's previously with. That's basically how it is. It's a great question, what if she's rich? If she's rich, she wouldn't want you or respect you. Yeah, that's already a good answer right there. You know, like it just like that, she's not gonna want you. She's not gonna look your way. If you look at historic times, right? Kings and queens, all right? Kings always, they marry down. They marry up, across, and down. We're flexible when it comes to that stuff. But women, forget about it. Forget about it. They're not going to date down. Men are more than happy to increase a woman's status. Well, women,
we don't care about their status.
We don't care about their status, yeah. But the thing is, we indirectly, or I'm even going to say directly, give them status when we're already high status, she's benefiting off that. So she's gonna get status. What do you think she's gonna do? She's gonna go on Instagram, she's gonna go to her friends and brag and press to all her friends, oh, look at my amazing boyfriend. We're going here, because she's gaining status because of your status. That's fine, that's totally good, but just understand that those are the dynamics. And with a woman, she's not going to really take the time of day to raise a man's status, absolutely not. And again, there are exceptions to the norm. And what I've noticed too, because I have a little bit of a network of business people as well, when there are times where I'll hear stories as well, and this is more anecdotal, this isn't like research or anything, where there might be a woman who really sees potential in a guy because maybe he has certain types of intelligence, maybe he has ideas, and he does maybe have some connections, and gives him some time, maybe even invest some money into him. But a lot of what those men do, for the most part, is they stay in the relationship until they elevate enough to either leave her, or maybe they start becoming a little disloyal and start finding other options and such. It doesn't happen all the time, but that's normally what would happen. Because I think men, for the most part, they don't want women raising them up in status. They really don't. I think what men tend to do is that they grow to somewhat a grotesque mindset when they feel that the woman is kind of raising them up, because the thing is that where we are is men are the providers, we are the ones who are building the infrastructure, so we have to build ourselves. So when men maybe feel insecure, or they feel that why is a woman building me up, they start building this grotesque feeling for her. Again, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen. And again, like when it comes to the female hypergamy, if a woman has all these benefits, if she's rich and she's famous, she's not going to try to make another man famous. She's not going to do that. I remember I had this talk with a friend where I said, well, if the man is growing, then the woman is going to grow. And then she said, well, if the woman grows, the man grows. No, that's not how it works. Women will not take the time of day, for the most part, to waste their time trying to grow a man when they expect the man to already be put together, okay? Women expect men to already be put together. That's why you see younger women mostly dating older men, because they're more experienced, they have things more, they have it together most of the time. So they don't want to waste their time teaching men how to go through life. They expect the man to get it done already off rip. Okay, there's a little saying when it comes to the manosphere and the red pill community. Women wait at the finish line for the winners. They don't care about the race. They care about who crosses the finish line so they can get with them. They get with winners. Women want to be with high value men, with winners, masculinity, men who know how to lead, and men who just have it, who just got it, okay? That's what it boils down to. And this isn't me making this up. This isn't something that I just decided to conjure up. It's been this way since the get-go. If you understand, evolutionary psychology, okay, you're going to notice that there's something that's called intrasexual competition and intersexual selection. Intersexual selection is when we have the females, it's mostly on the female side. The females are going to mate with the males who have greater potential. This is in the animal kingdom. This is when Homo sapiens and Homo erectus and Neanderthals were a thing altogether, okay? Women always go for what is best because it is a security measurement for themselves, because they want to make sure that their future is secured with a man who's going to take care of them, all right? You have to understand that when it comes to evolutionary psychology and just not common sense, but this is just how women think. This is what they want. And when men argue, not only with other men, but with themselves, well, why should women like a guy who's going to provide? Why should women like a woman who's going to go after the high value men? Because they want what's best for them.
That's fine.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's totally fine. Most women are very solipsistic. They want what's best for them always. And that's good, because again, women want the best lifestyle. They want experiences. They want to be a mother. They want to have a family, but they want to have a successful family. You really think mothers want to be single mothers? You really think so? I get that the government incentivizes women to divorce men because it favors them entirely. But ultimately, that's not what they want. It's really not. So men, you have to understand that, all right? So let me see here. What if you can't afford college? Well, a lot of successful men end up not going to college because they're innovative. They have networking. They maybe have a family who understands business a little bit, and then they indoctrinate them into some families of business, and then they teach, and they could probably even get into some trade jobs where it still requires some sort of skill within the job for them to actually be successful. So it's like college is not the one way or the end all be all. It's just not like that. College hasn't been like that for a very long time, actually. But back then, college was only for smart people, super duper smart people. But now they're just letting anybody get in because they're allowing so many majors to come on in. And the government incentivizes colleges to do that so they can do double home income taxes. So that's a little political piece I threw in there for you guys. But yeah. What if but nothing is forever? So might as have fun. Yeah, have fun, but don't have too much fun to the point where you're old as heck and you're not fertile anymore, and your value has dropped, and now no man wants you. You know what I mean? Like you got to know there's a time and place for that. And of course, for men and women, our values are different, and we'll definitely talk about that. Let's see here. Thanks, I heard from a goat, a wise goat. Absolutely, I appreciate that, and a very wise from all the guys here. Thanks. I think we're kind of making fun of each other here. What if the woman is from the hood? See, if the woman is from the hood,
just leave her. She belongs in the streets, bro.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, she belongs to the streets.
She belongs to the streets.
But here's something else also. With men have different tastes. Okay, if the man is from the hood, he's probably gonna attract women who are from the hood. It's just the way it is. But that still doesn't mean that she's not qualifiable. If she's directly from the hood, but she's actually a good girl and things like that, and you're able to vet her properly, and she understands family values, because I mean, she grew up in the hood. She has no choice. She grew up in the hood. She was placed there. You know what I mean?
That's tough to find, bro.
It is tough to find, but that's where, again, it comes down to vetting. It always comes down to vetting. If a girl from the hood, quote unquote, I guess, could be pretty, could be beautiful, and that's what men typically go for first. Like personality and ambitions and things like that, those are things that we pay attention to after the fact that we think a woman is attractive, and we actually approach her and then start seeing if she's potential for us to even invest time in going on a date with. So the attraction point comes first, the beauty comes first. So when that happens, if the girl from the hood isn't for you because you vetted her and there's certain traits you don't like, then that's a different story. All right, so we're done with the questions here. Okay, so we caught up on everything there. Good. All right, guys, here's where we start ruffling some feathers here. All right, we're starting off here pretty strong. Red flag number 2, and again in no particular order, a woman who has tattoos or is heavily tatted. Oh yeah, we're going there, absolutely. So here come the questions here. So that question, let me we're on the next topic here, but we'll catch up on that. So a woman who's heavily tatted, okay? So it's only until recent, really, like a few decades ago, where women started really going for tattoos, like really going for tattoos, and it became an exception to the norm, and it became a social structure, okay? That wasn't really a thing back in the day. Men were the ones, sailors, people who go in the military, men who went into the military. Tattoos, back in the day, and this was even before feminism started, first wave feminism, tattoos was a sign of a rite of passage for men. It showed that, they belong into a tribe, that they're masculine, they have incumbencies, they have duties, and they have roles. And this is coming in tribal times as well. It was a rite of passage, okay? And again, it showed masculine traits. There aren't any studies, but there are surveys regarding the attractiveness of when it comes to men wearing tattoos for women, and then women wearing tattoos, and seeing the attraction points for how men feel about that. And I don't think it's a big surprise, and this is more of a preference. There are men who are fine with women wearing tattoos. They're fine with that. That's to each his own. That's totally fine. But for the most part, it boils down to stereotypes, believe it or not. Because again, tattoos are more of a masculine trait. Personally, for me, if you're wondering what do I think about women with tattoos, I think you just shouldn't do it, to be honest with you. That's like if you have a beautiful house, a mansion, whatever, and you're putting graffiti on the walls and you're putting stickers around the house, it just shows bad taste.
It looks bad.
It looks bad. It shows bad taste. And it kind of tells you a lot about the person as well.
Some people say like it shows like damage or something, you know.
I was gonna get to that actually.
Yeah, it's just not good, bro.
Yeah, it's just not
a red flag, you know.
It's 100% a red flag. It's for me, it's definitely a red flag. I think for a lot of men, and can't put a sticker in a Ferrari. Yeah, it's not even that you can't. You just shouldn't do it. You just shouldn't do it. It shows bad taste. It doesn't look good. And the difference is when it comes to the psychology of why men decide to get tattoos versus why women get tattoos is totally different as well. I ended up getting into a conversation with one of my good friends that we ended up working out at the gym. And I gave him some reasons as to why men get tattoos. And I've explained to the podcast as well and the audience why men get tattoos, okay? And for the most part, women find tattoos on men very masculine. It's not even something women question. They just know that it's a masculine trait. It's innate in them. Men have propensities to do that. Not all men, of course, but if it happens, it's like, okay, well, that's a masculine trait, you know? For some women, it makes men look more manly. For some women, it makes them look like they're kind of moving with a purpose, things like that. And some of the tattoos, of course, either have their country flag or the job that they do, or anything like that. So there's actual meaning to that. Now, when it comes to women, however, most of the time, in just some, like they just happen to go out and be like, well, I want to get a tattoo, something kind of cute, whatever. For the most part, that's not really the case. When women get tattoos, and it's probably mostly big ones, and it depends on where they're placing it and such, because I know there's a tramp stamp as well, which it's a signature of a woman who's potentially or is promiscuous, okay? And when a woman mostly gets tattoos, it's because something happened to her in her past. Something happened to her, an influence. Like she was damaged by something. She went through a trauma. Mm-hmm. She went through issues with a guy, especially. That's most of the time. Most of the time, women don't just get tattoos because one day they just decide to go into a tattoo shop and say, oh, I want a butterfly. No, they get it because something happened to them, and then they decide to put it on them to basically remind them of what goes on, which is not great. Because if I go out with a woman and I see a tattoo of like a knife or something, like a knife piercing through a heart, or a guy's name, it could be her father, maybe, or just a guy's name in general, and she's on a date with you, and every time she walks and she raises her arm or she turns her arm, what do you think goes through her mind? It's a reconciliation of what her past looked like for her. And you as the man, you need to take caution on that. You need to take heed on that and say, that's not good, because you're gonna see how tattoos can help you determine a woman's past, okay? As I mentioned in the last podcast, women judge men by their futures, and men judge women by their past. Always remember that. If there's anything you can get out of the show for our podcast, remember that. And the other one that I mentioned, the older women are, the bolder they are. Hunter, if you're watching this, I know you like that one. That one was catchy. But so yeah, and a lot of I've come across this as well. Okay, I know some psychologists and some friends who are kind of into getting into the psychology field, and the things I hear as well from my networkings and some friends who are in psychology, or even if they're doctors, especially, right? The stories I hear, and even some of like the data in which they start to collaborate for themselves, and some statistics on people who come and see them, like the psychiatrist side. Let's talk about the psychiatrist end. What I hear stories about when a woman goes into psychiatry, okay, because they go through episodes. What I'll hear some of my buddies come up to me and say is, well, you'd be surprised, a lot of these women who come up to me and have traumatic pasts, skeletons in their closet, or they just have issues with family, or they don't have a father figure, I see some form of a tattoo on them. Either there's one or a plethora of them, and they could range from small, big, medium sizes, and they're in very specific places. Like they could be around the chest area, they could be like on her neck, They could be very visible in places where generally you don't want to see them, because they want the world to kind of know. They're flashing basically their problems. They want the world to know what's going on with them in some way, but they just don't want the negative attention. They just want to say, hey, cool tattoo, but they don't want people questioning or holding them accountable for that. All right. So that's on the top of her back. Yeah, you're gonna. That's a common place. So you'll see them like kind of on the arms, but that places around the chest area, around like her hip area, her waist, anything, or close to her pelvis with her legs and things like that. I'll tell you why that's a problem as well. And doctors will say the same thing. Like doctors will also tell me that they'll have cases where they have patients come on in where they've been injured, hurt, car accident, whatever it is, tattoos on the woman. And the ones, and you're probably asking, what about the ones who don't have tattoos? They're just probably going through a little stress, they'll usually say. Something, they're going through some school stress, or maybe it's not as big as the problems that they would explain to me when they do have tattoos. So that is definitely something to consider, gentlemen, and for ladies as well too, okay? You have that already. Now here's my issue, and this is gonna be like a little bit of a brain turner for you guys, why the placement matters, okay? The placement matters because oftentimes when women go get tattoos, who is mostly putting tattoos on them? Is it women putting tattoos on women, or is it men putting tattoos on them? It's mostly men. And I do hear stories as well. And again, this isn't like studies or anything like that, but it's the potentiality. It's the potentiality that some of these women who go get tattoos, and they're vulnerable. Maybe they just need someone to talk to as they're getting the tattoo that's representing their past trauma. These men take opportunities. They take opportunities. So when they start going in like the chest area and the pelvis area, it starts getting a little intimate. It starts getting intimate, and then the guys might have their way with the woman. Maybe after the work, they might take her out, and then they have intimacy with the guy, or maybe even close the shop early and then have intimacy with them. These are things that happen. These are stories I have heard, and you gotta be careful. Men, you've heard it here, and I'm sure other places you've heard too, just from friends and family members. You gotta understand that when men get tattoos, it's not the same. It's not the same as when women get tattoos. When women get tattoos, for the most part, most of the time in general, is because they've had some sort of problem in their past, all right? And when you ask them especially, well, what's up with this tattoo? Most of the time, they're not gonna tell you the reason why they got the tattoo. So it's incumbent of you to investigate a little bit, but don't look too hard into it. Just understand, like, tattoos are not a feminine trait, they're a masculine trait. And men, in general, find it distasteful for a woman to have a plethora of tattoos. And the arm sleeves covering the whole arm, they have their whole neck covered and everything. No, absolutely not. When I see women have those tattoos, of course, like, I don't know who they are, so I can only go off of what I see. I'm gonna judge a book by its cover, but I'm already thinking in my head, let's just put it that way. So that's a red flag number 2 when it comes to tattoos. And we can come on to a question here. What about different ethnic women? Ethnic women. Well, when it comes to ethnic women, I still think they have some way of preserving themselves. But is it often? I don't think it's very often. Again, because when we're talking about women introducing tattoos to themselves, this is recent. This isn't something that has been going on for a long time, and we did have ethics back in the day. We still had some of that in the 1700s, the 1600s, 17, 18, 19. We had that, but it was only until somewhat recent where women started indoctrinating and started doing more of what men do because they think it's what men are attracted to. So with some women, especially feminists, they're gonna say, well, whatever the man does, he's gonna find attractive. No, absolutely not. If you're a woman, be feminine. If you're a man, be masculine. So I do think that there are certain limits to it. And again, like, if it's like an ethic thing, or there's something that goes on with it, you as the man, you have to make that decision. You gotta make that call, okay? But the ethics thing, if she's truly ethic in certain degrees, and you have to kind of study her belief system, maybe her tattoo does have something to do with her belief in her religion and things like that. What if Indian women with cultural tattoos? Again, you have to vet. If you have a woman who's Indian, it's kind of the same thing. If she has an overabundance of tattoos, men still have to move appropriately. If she's Indian, but she's still putting 100,000 tattoos on her, that's not really normal. If she has one tattoo that represents her Indian culture, maybe two at best, and they actually mean something, all right, fine. Leave my India alone. No, of course, man. No disrespect. No disrespect at all, my man. I respect all cultures. I respect all cultures. Remember that we're talking about how to navigate through the dating scene. Like tattoos, and here's the thing about tattoos also, to kind of give you a little bit more study when it comes to tattoos. There is some evidence as well that when people get tattoos, the ink itself acts as, I think, a bacteria that goes into the body, and then the nervous system fights back and then helps improve the immune system. So that's definitely something to consider as well when it comes to tattoos. So, there is some science to go along with that if I'm kind of defending tattoos inherently by itself. But again, it's not about culture, it's not about ethnicity, anything like that. You have to understand when a woman by herself, when she has an overabundance of tattoos, you as a man, you have to question that to a certain degree, okay? Because I told you guys already, men get tattoos for different reasons compared to when women get tattoos. That's pretty much what the point of that red flag is, right? I love Curry. Curry's great. So we got through on that one. So we've gotten through 2 red flags here. The third one here's another big one. The woman keeps men from her past in her life.
Oof.
Keeping men in her past, okay? So listen, the whole being friends with men and women, like I'm not someone who really goes with that, to be honest with you. Like I said before, even on the first red flag, when you're going out on a date, you're not trying to be her friend. You're not trying, because if I'm attracted to a woman, I'm not trying to be her friend. Like I'm trying to show her I'm interested in her, and I want to see if she's a potential mate for me. Because the thing is that what happens is when, do I want to talk about this now? Yeah, well, we can talk a little bit about what happens when it comes to men and women being friends and who benefits more in the friendship. We'll talk about that maybe in a little bit. But keeping men from her past, this is the main one I want to talk about here, at least for this one. Here's the thing, what women do. What women tend to do when they keep men from their past is when certain things happen, the breakup scene, the whole breakup. And when she's with a guy who maybe she's not too good with, and this also goes for lesbian couples as well. It's not even just for heterosexual. This goes for both parties. Usually what people do is when they keep significant others or past significant others, the things like that, the worst significant others in the past, they're monkey branching. That's what they're doing. So monkey branching, of course, is when you branch on, you're grabbing onto that one person, man or female, and then you have this other arm just waiting to latch onto somebody else. So you keep this person around until another person comes around, okay? And then monkey branch, you grab on, you're not gonna let that person go just yet. When you feel you secured this next person, then you let go and you successfully swung on with a different branch. So that's a little thing when it comes to monkey branching. And it's definitely not good. So when women or men, but mostly we'll talk about women first. When women keep men from their past like that, that's already a problem, because she still believes there's hope that goes on with both that man and her. The man still, in her mind, provides some sort of value to her in some way, and she wants to continue getting benefits from that guy. And then comes the friends with benefits, and then here comes the situationships, okay? It's not a good deal for the guy, but it's a better deal. It's not a good deal for the man, period. It's a good deal for the woman, and I'm gonna tell you why. This is why I didn't want to cut this portion off so soon. But when a woman has guy friends, or she's being friends with a guy and such, she understands she's benefiting way more in that friends with benefits, or the friendship, let's just call it the friendship, than the man. Because we have to understand that when men and women are together, what do men want? They want sex, and they want availability from the woman. What does the woman want? Not the same thing. She wants attention, validation, masculine energy. She wants to also keep the guy around because he probably gives better pragmatic advice, more realistic advice. She doesn't want to be around her female friends most of the time because they probably start too much drama or they're problematic. They give her bad ideas. She doesn't trust their advice. She knows that if this guy has some value, she's going to keep him around. She's going to keep that guy around because of those traits. She has that boyfriend energy. If she's out on the street, she knows that she's getting some form of security from this man. So if you're out on the street, if she's out on the street with this guy and some guy just comes out and then robs her purse, she's going to expect this guy friend to put his life in danger and go get the guy to get her purse back. And when the guy, if he's smart enough, I guess, and he wants it to be 50-50, like maybe he is still getting sex with a woman and he's giving an equal amount of attention to her but not giving all the benefits, because there are situationships like that, the woman's going to expect the man to go after him. And then what happens when the guy says, no, that's not my role in this friendship, whatever it is? The woman's most likely going to shame him and bag on him for that. Like, you're the man, you're supposed to protect me, and probably embarrass him in front of public. And even worse, if it's in public, when other people see that he's not willing to put his life in danger or to try to help the woman out, not be chivalrous, he's going to look bad, not only to her, but in front of people. And then imagine that goes on the news or on IG, some fool decides to pull his phone out and then take, whoa, why didn't you save this person? Why didn't you help her out? So it doesn't benefit him. Overall, from what I just pointed out, it doesn't benefit him. And if she's getting all the benefits from everything that I just pointed out, and she's not even giving him sex, it's a waste of time for him. It's a total waste of time for him. He's not getting anything. And if he's one of those simps, which we talked about that earlier from the first episode, if he's one of those guys who doesn't have options, doesn't understand his masculine identity, doesn't have moral code or no values, and doesn't understand when he's wasting his time, and thinks that there's a silver lining that he has with this girl, that thinks that something is going to happen if he just continues to invest in this girl, it's not going to happen. This is the type of guy who, he comes up to me or my business partner Chris or any other person, and we're going to ask him, so how are things going? Did you have intimacy with her? Are you guys a thing? Oh, what is he going to say? No, not yet, man. You know, if I keep going, I feel it though. She's gonna do it. She's gonna give me intimacy. She's gonna do it. She's gonna give it to me.
That's sad.
No. Women know already what they're going to do the moment they meet a man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. The women know right off the bat if they're going to give some sort of investment with the man off rip already. They know who the winners are. They know who the losers are. They know who are the ones who have potential. They know the ones who do not have potential. And they already know what they're going to give the guy in return for the guy's investment. The transaction, per se.
Yeah.
They know.
They place you and they categorize you as like, you're an attention guy, or you're a provider guy, or you're, a sex guy, whatever it is.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to what Chris is saying, there's this whole thing going on when it comes to hookup culture. Women are the ones who are exacerbating hookup culture, not men. Why is that? Oh, well, men they're going on dating apps, they want to have sex, they want to hook up with as many girls as possible. Yeah, but who's the one initiating sex? Women are. So if I know there's going to be women who say, oh, but like men are the ones who just want sex, like they always come on me having sex and this and that. Yeah, but who's the one allowing it? So hookup culture is a thing because women are allowing men who they don't truly desire, or they just get drunk one day, or they put themselves in precarious situations like going out to the darkest parts of Miami, clubbing, drinking their brains out. So now they're not even aware consciously of what goes on, and then they go home with a guy or whatever, or they do something like in the back of the place, and then they wake up one morning and say, oh, Jesus Christ, like, yeah, you are the problem. You are the one who's kind of just throwing yourself into hookup culture and allowing it to be a thing. I said this before in the last podcast. We have a government system. If a judge makes a call on someone who's going to be on house arrest and he gets out of range and there's no police enforcing it to get him to be back in range, He's gonna leave. He's gonna keep going out robbing banks and such because nobody's enforcing it. You have to enforce hookup culture not being a thing. Men are pigs. We are. Okay, we want sex. Sue us. Okay, sue us. That's just how it is. But you have to be the ones. Women are the arbiters. You guys are the arbiters to determining who has sex and who doesn't. So you have no excuse for saying that men are the reason why hookup culture is a thing. You have absolutely no reason and excuse. All you do is hold yourselves responsible and accountable for it. Let me see here. So that's about it for keeping men from her past and such. So you definitely don't want to keep men, but to kind of, give me a second, Chris. So wrap up on this one actually for keeping men in the past. I'm going to get to the questions here. And this goes to the vetting part too. When you see, as a man, if you start seeing that she's getting texted by some guys, or she even mentions that she's hanging out with certain guys, and she's actually by herself hanging out, no go. Absolutely no go. And of course, if you like her enough and you see some silver lining, you see potential, and she asks you the question, hey, like, where do we stand? That's up to you now to draw the line and say, yeah, that guy friend who I see you kind of hanging out, when you go to Chili's with him and you have these like monthly things with him, yeah, I can't take a woman serious who hangs out with guy friends like that. That's just, nah, absolutely not. That's a no-go. Because what men expect is if a woman is making herself exclusive, she's taking her for sale sign off, okay? She's not keeping her for sale sign on her when she's in a relationship. She immediately takes that off. So that means no more of this going out clubbing and getting other men attention and things like that, even though there are some guys who they're okay with it because they go out clubbing with them. That's a different scenario. But men expect you to take that for sale sign off. If you ladies, if you want men to take you serious, that for sale sign, you better take it off. Let's just put it that way. As a simple analogy, you need to take that off. So wrapping that up, moving on here. Let's see here. Veronica, good seeing you again. What do you believe is a reasonable timeline for a woman to be intimate with a man that she is dating? Good question, yeah. So I think reasonably I think what usually happens, I'm gonna explain first the norm. I think the norm most of the time is, I think within a month. Because again, women already know what they're gonna do with the man. If they're sexually aroused by the man, there are women who they have sex with a man like on the first date.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. I personally wouldn't want that, to be honest with you. Maybe the third date, somewhere around there is good, as if I know that things are good, you know what I mean? Like we speak to each other, that the vibe is there, and then I'm actually sexually arousing her, and we feel something good, and that she's caught in the moment, I'm caught in the moment, and it's safe sex, of course, then why not? But if it gets to a point where it kind of drags on and on and on and on, like I think a little over a month is okay too, personally. I think a little over a month is fine. I know there are going to be some guys who say, if I don't get sex by the first date, second week, third week, then that's it, I'm not going to commit to her. That, in cases like that, I think that's a little unreasonable, to be very honest with you. That's just the way I think. I think if it's well within like a month or even a little after a month, but not like 5 months later or 6 months, because at the end of the day, like, women who are truly invested in men, they're going to have sex with them. They're going to. They're sexually aroused by them. They find them very attractive. Women don't think in their minds like, okay, I'm going to hold off sex. They're not going to do that. Women who are naturally profoundly attracted to a man and sexually aroused by them, they're not putting this time frame in their minds of when they're going to have sex with a man. They're not doing that. So it's a bit variable to your question, Veronica. It's a bit variable because some women will immediately, if it's a high value guy, especially for the most part, they'll have sex with him on maybe the first date or when things kick off. It doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but it does happen. Second date, same thing. Third date, same thing. But my advice for men, if you feel that the woman is not sexually aroused by you or even attracted to you, and you think she's friend zoning you, the moment you feel that she's friend zoning you or you're getting friend zoned, that's when you need to start investing your time into other girls.
Or being used for foodie calls.
Foodie calls. Or she's just hitting you up for food. Like she's literally just, you're her wallet, you're her ATM for her. And every single time you're trying to get her sexually aroused. Like if like if you're trying to touch her, like you're trying to put your arm around her and caress her and maybe like hold her hips and you know, you're being touchy with her, but not in like a bad way, but you're just trying to get her aroused in a very, very good manner. You know, that's what men who are into women are gonna do. But the moment the man gets that pushback and she feels, and the man feels that she's withholding sex from him, and she's just using him basically for foodie calls or attention and time. Oh, what's your advice on this and that? And just trying to get validation from him, but he's not getting anything back in return. That is the responsibility of the man. You have to behoove yourself as the man and say, okay, you know, I just invested this amount of time. I just tried to see how attractive she is to me. I just tried sexually arousing her. She's not about it. A woman will give a man sex. She will. If she's really into him, if she's really aroused by him, no question about it. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen no matter what. Whether it's the first date, second date, third date, a little bit after, like a month or something, that's what I would consider somewhat reasonable, then it's gonna happen, but it's up to the responsibility of the man. This scenario that I just mentioned about the guy just investing months, even years, there are men out there who invest years chasing one woman, simping over her, pedestalizing her, spending money on her, taking on trips and going to Dubai and Cancun and New Mexico and Russia, and she's gaining all these experiences from this guy, and she still doesn't give him sex. That is a gigantic no-no for men. Because back in the day, like if we're following like old patriarchy rules and we have like contracts and social contracts and things like that, there's a transaction. As I said before, men want sex and availability from women. Women want attention and validation from men and resources and the best life possible and experiences, okay? So once you understand the social structure of how men and women think and how the intimacy happens and the pheromones, study pheromones, guys. It's a bit of a phenomenon, but it's definitely something that's relevant. But like I said, just to summarize that, women who are really into a man, they're gonna give him sex. No question about it. No question about it. She's not gonna make him wait either. Not gonna make him wait. Here's the thing for you to wrap this one up. To wrap your question up, Veronica. Great question, thank you for that. And this is for both men and women. Women make rules for men who they do not like. And women break rules for men who they really do like. I'm gonna say that one more time. Women break rules for men who they do like, and women make rules for men who they don't like. Done deal, just like that. Well, great stuff, guys, great stuff. We're on a good roll here, actually. Red flag number 4. All right, we're getting good here. We're getting good. I'm very excited, guys. It's a great pleasure speaking with you guys and really getting things going. Albert, good stuff. Jill, good seeing you. All right, very good, very good. Hope you guys enjoy the show. Red flag number 4, okay? Again, in no particular order from least to greatest or worst to not so bad. Party girls. Oh, yeah, the party girls. Here we go. Here's where all the party girls are gonna come after us now. Like, oh, red flag, a party girl. What's wrong with the girl having fun and drinking a little bit, things like that? Yeah, I can hear it already. Here we go. So here's the thing with party girls, okay? What men have to understand is a lot of young women, modern women for the most part, even older women, when there is no masculine figure, whether it's a brother, uncle, father, maybe a good time best friend, possibly, and there was no intimacy there, who knows. If there's no real masculine figure in her life, there's a lot of different influences in which come into her life very easily, okay? Because there's no guidance. There's really no guidance. So when a woman, a young woman especially, if she's hanging out with a bunch of other women who don't have masculine figures or just don't understand ethics and moral codes and values, there's no indoctrination with a father figure being in her life and disciplining her and telling her, no, like, this is how it's gonna be, and her respecting her father especially, those are huge red flags already. Because now what's gonna happen is, and with party girls also, a lot of them are feminists. Believe it or not, a lot of them are feminists. Like they think that getting ran through is okay, and drinking and being masculine and being bossy, things like that, and being disagreeable and thinking that there are no consequences to their actions, yeah, that's their attitude right there. That's mostly what party girls do and such. Not all of them, of course, but some majority, okay? And let me see here. So yeah, when it comes to that, right? So if I meet a woman and I see she's kind of into partying, I'm already concerned, okay? Because women by nature, not all, of course, and we're talking about the women who, again, don't have good figures in their lives, okay? This isn't all of them. The ones who do have good masculine figures in their lives, it is very rare that they put themselves in precarious situations. Very rare. But the ones who don't have good influence, this is what happens, okay? So the feminists and the masculine women, the ones who want to put traveling and experiences, getting big jobs and getting money and getting status and being solipsistic and posting pictures online just to get attention from men and women and showing off their lifestyles. These are typically the women who end up building very bad habits. And it is up to a masculine figure and a man, a boyfriend or husband, whatnot, or maybe a fiance, to really stop the woman from inheriting bad behavior. When women are already kind of too far gone, and when they've already indoctrinated so many bad habits and propensities in which you can't really change them because now they're going to be very disagreeable, it's already a lost cause from there. Because I've dated party girls before. I think every man to a degree has dated some sort of party girl, and we have more of them now more than ever, okay? But it's when you date a party girl, it's not. There are some guys who are fine with party girls. Let me just throw that out there first, okay? Because they go with them to parties and things like that. So there's that balance, okay? I want to address that because I do know there are couples out there who go out partying together, not separate, okay? And they understand their boundaries. Like, they're not gonna let other men dance with them in a very specific way. You know, like, there are some sensual dances and such. That's a sign of disrespect to me and to a lot of men, okay? Because I get that when you're dancing and having fun and such, but you gotta understand that there are boundaries to what women do and what men do. So if you're a party girl and things like that, you gotta understand that's already not very attractive to a lot of men. Because if I'm going out partying, let's just happen to say I meet a girl, and it's not at a club or anything like that, and I see on her Instagram, she's going out clubbing, or she's into partying, she's into drinking, she's into some perpetually bad habits. I'm already not gonna like that, already. Now, if I find that she's pretty and she happens to be, a genuinely, I guess, nice person, and maybe I'm getting sex from her, or just a guy is getting sex, most likely, and this is for you ladies, you have already put yourself in the recreational category already, okay? Yeah. Because he already sees that he does not see you as a mother for his children. He doesn't see paternity with you. He doesn't see that, okay? Because what I tend to notice a lot in parties is you're going to see how women behave for real when they're in precarious situations. Because a lot of those young women, and even just women in general who go to parties like that, when they're not with their men and they have boyfriends, they're gonna right away think that there are no consequences to what they do. They're gonna think it's anything goes, and okay, so whatever goes on, whatever happens, they have this whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas type of personality, this mindset. So if a guy comes up to them, they're drinking, or he happens to be good looking and shows like some masculine traits or things like that, and then he starts getting all touchy with her, she's gonna live the moment because her emotions are taking over. Those are women who like to be in the scene. They like to be in the scene. They like experience. They like new experiences. It's a drug to them. Being sucked into all these happy emotions, the serotonin, the oxytocin, all this stuff, they love that. They cannot live without that. They need to have that. They need to have some sort of excitement in their life. So when a guy like that comes on in, and he's like, getting all touchy with her, and her man's not around, no masculine figure is teaching her like real values on how to respect men, you best believe things will happen. Things will definitely happen. Like, I've even seen if you have girls, if you have a girlfriend who goes, okay, and she goes with friends, and you happen to be there. For you men, pay attention to what her friends do. pay attention closely to what her friends do. Whether they're single, whether they're in a relationship or a situationship, whatever you may call it, pay attention. Because birds of a feather flock together. If you see her friends wilding out, grinding on other dudes, kissing guys, and she and her friends are kind of letting the guys have their way with her, flirting with her, what do you think she's gonna do? What do you think she's gonna do when you're not around? If she happens to go by herself, what do you think she's gonna do? She's hanging out with other girls who are promoting bad behavior already for themselves, damaging the relationship they might have with somebody else, and perpetually damaging their reputation. And you're there only as a checks and balances, but the moment you're not there, you best believe, because she's with that crew, and you're barely even an influence to her, it's over. It's done. It's totally done. Totally done. Totally done. Because you have to understand that when women get into a relationship with a man, they don't, real, truly feminine women don't even think about going to clubs. They don't think about going to yachts, yacht parties, traveling around by themselves and with other single friends. They don't think about doing that. All they think about is, no, I want to be with my man. I want to be with my man who's providing for me, who's giving me the experiences. He's giving me the proper attention and validation. He's very mysterious, so I feel a lot of excitement with him. He's got a lot of business going on. Like, he's very high value, and I can't mess this up. I am not going to screw this up because I have this FOMO, this fear of missing out, because that's what a lot of young girls and just women in general, not all of course, they go through this FOMO, the fear of missing out. They don't want to feel left out. They don't want to feel like they're missing something that isn't really important for them. Like, if their friends go out clubbing and they call and say, oh girl, come on, like don't worry about your man, he's not gonna say anything. If a guy comes up to you, whatever, we're just having fun, live your life, things like that. You need to dump those friends immediately. For you ladies out there, you need to stop talking to them. You need to stop hanging out with them, because those other girls who are in your ear, okay? And when the man is not around, or if something happens, let's say something happens where you guys maybe got into an argument, you and your man get into an argument, not even a big argument, like just maybe a disagreement, and she goes to her friends, her single girlfriends, who are going out clubbing and traveling and doing all these things, they're feminists. What do you think those feminists and those single ladies who don't respect their men, what do you think they're gonna say? They're gonna say, oh, screw that guy. You see, this is why you gotta hang with the girls. This is why you gotta go clubbing with us and mingle around, things like that. Terrible advice. Terrible advice. Terrible. The woman needs to stay with her man and work things out. Because at the end of the day, the man is the rock and should be the rock. He is the problem solver. He is the one who needs to be stoic. He is the one who has more emotional intelligence. And yes, I said it. He needs to have more emotional intelligence and make sure that things are on point with the relationship. Because again, who gave you the relationship, ladies? It is the man who gives you the relationship, and he can take it away. He can take it away just as easy, okay? Easier, if anything, all right? Because if he's a high-value man, what do you think he's gonna think? He's gonna think, all right, if this girl wants to damage our relationship, Dennis, what's up, my man? If she wants to damage our relationship, that's fine. There are a bunch of other beautiful women out there who will be submissive, who will listen to me, who is gonna have FOMO, not for going out and putting herself into precarious situations. And on top of that, well, let me finish this part. And going into precarious situations, and I don't have to argue with her, she's not a headache to me. He's gonna go find another woman, whether it's here in the US, in Florida, somewhere else, or he joins the Passport Bros movement and finds someone who's more ecclesiastical, more religious, understands values and relationships, and understands what nuclear families look like. He won't bat an eye on that. He's immediately gonna move on. And this is for you gentlemen. If anyone can remember even me saying this before, as a man, you have to be willing to walk away from her. Let's say this one more time. As a man, you have to be willing to walk away from a woman who is not supporting your mission, who is not going to be submissive to you, who's not going to listen to you, who's going to embarrass you in front of your friends and family members, who's not going to let you lead. You need to be willing to do that. Because when you stay with a woman who sees that you don't understand your masculinity, your values, your potential to grow in this world and to add to the world's infrastructure, she's going to walk all over you. And you're basically in her frame. She's not in your frame. You're in her frame. I think there's a question here about beta-tization. I think so. That's how men get beta-tized. Men get beta-tized? I think all men get beta-tized, to be honest with you. It's just how much are you willing to put up of the beta-tization? That's basically what it boils down to. Like, how beta-tized are you going to get? So a woman has to be in your frame. There's something from Dr. Orion. He's a famous psychologist, I believe. And there's something that he mentioned when it comes to adoring levels. There's an adorer and an adoree. And basically all in all it means is that the woman has to like the man or love the man more than the man likes and loves the woman. And from the research that it states there, relationships tend to last much longer and even better. They're more fruitful when it is the woman who loves the man way more than the man loving the woman. I didn't make that up. These are things from psychologists and even some research that's been done and such, and statistics most likely, but that's just the cold hard truth. And ladies, let me ask you, come on, let's keep it for real, okay? Like, if you feel like you're better than your man, that you're the one making all the decisions, you don't respect him, you're leading the relationship, he's lazy, he's a bum, and he's pedestalizing you, you're not gonna want that. Let's keep it 1,000% here. Let's be brutally honest with each other and let's be pragmatic. Let's be for real here, guys. And it's okay. It's okay that you don't want a man like that. It's just that men had to accept that. But women had to accept that also. Men truly had to accept that. Okay? And coming back to the precarious situations, I think women who put themselves in precarious situations, that shows irresponsibility from the woman. Very responsible. And if she goes by herself. Because what happens when she goes into dangerous places or places where there's a bunch of men, or she's in like a dark place or some place she's traveling around and no one knows her, she doesn't understand the culture, doesn't understand the country. If something happens to her, who's going to protect her? Not her man, because her man's not there. So she's already putting herself in some risk, and it's incredibly irresponsible from the woman. But I'll tell you something else though. It's also incredibly irresponsible on the man for allowing that to happen. So men, I'm gonna say that you are even more responsible for her going out and doing precarious activities, because you're allowing her to damage the relationship by allowing her to perpetually damage the relationship, and you're not even punishing her. The worst thing is when a man doesn't hold a woman to a standard. Men, gentlemen, the reason why a lot of women disrespect men and a lot of this nonsense happens is because you don't hold women to a standard. You don't hold them to a standard. That's going to be one of my other red flags coming up. I won't dwell on this one, but we're going to talk about that. Women not understanding that there are consequences to their actions. Okay? So we're going to talk about that in a little bit. That concludes the party girls thing, okay? Because a lot of them tend to have bad habits already, and it's really up to the man. It's incumbent of the man to mold the woman out of those bad habits. Question time. So let's get to some questions here. Let me see here. Let me see here. What do you think about Steve Harvey's 3-month rule for sex? The reason is to see how committed his is to her, because sex tends to complicate things, keeping a person getting to truly know each other.
I don't believe that.
Okay, look. Here's my take on that. And this is coming from Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey's great, by the way. I know he's had some shows and things like that. Great guy, funny guy. Shout out to him. Anyway. But here's the thing when it comes to just relationships in general. There is so much variability with how relationships work when it comes to the time management, the validation, the values, things like that. Ultimately, coming from me, what's ultimately going to determine the 3-month rule or whatever rule you think of, there is no rule. There's no rule, because I said it before. If a woman truly wants a man, truly desires him, and sees a lot of potential and value, she's not going anywhere. She's not gonna leave. Even with sex, like it's whether it's on the first date, second date, third date, if the man keeps selling potential and keeps on showing that he's the man, not a man, the man, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because she already invested in him knowing that, well, there's a lot of potential. And of course, they're going to get to know each other and things like that. But the 3-month rule, 2-month rule, 5-month rule, all that stuff, it doesn't really matter because, again, at the end of the day, if a woman's truly aroused by a man and truly attracted to him, there's no rule. And Veronica, you just pointed it out there. Great quote on the rule-breaking, rule-making phrase. Yeah, absolutely. Women make rules for men who they don't like, and women break rules for men who they do like. So you might have this 3-month rule for one guy, but it's a guy who you're not really attracted to. But a guy who you're really attracted to and you feel all these arousals, like you're sweating, you're getting, you're feeling it down there, you're getting kind of wet and things like that, you're gonna break your rules for him. So this 3-month thing, if it is a rule for you, great. No disrespect there, that's fine, that's fine. But you'll break it the moment you see a guy who really ticks off your boxes. You will, guaranteed. Guaranteed. Great question though, very good. Let me see, HD, thanks for joining the channel, man. How do I save friend from betaization? So
subscribe to this channel.
Yeah, subscribe to the channel, absolutely. So to save your friend from betaization, you can save him, but again, like I mentioned before, when it comes to betaization, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, but to a certain degree. It happens to a certain degree. Here's how it really kicks into high gear. It really kicks into high gear when the man doesn't know his masculine value. That's when it really kicks in. So that's when the man enters the woman's frame, that's when betaization really kicks into high gear. Really kicks into high gear. Because he's changing himself for her. He's changing his lifestyle just for her. And that's basically what it sounds like from there, So you're changing a lot from her. So when a woman falls for a guy and she's all sexually aroused and the attraction and such, that's you on the spot. But when you start making changes, now what's gonna happen is she's not falling for the guy who she fell for in the first place because you're changing too much for her. Women mold men. Here's something for you, gentlemen and women. Women mold men to be the men who women end up not wanting. Men mold women to be the women they end up wanting. All right, that's another quote there for you guys and such. So you can save him. You can save him from betaization. You have to be a masculine figure and say, look, you just make sure you're leading. Don't submit to her whims on bad behavior. Don't let her behave like an H word or W word, anything like that. Don't let her continue on bad behavior that disrespects you and such. But that's how you can save him. But he has to understand, like it's kind of one of those things where you have to go on, not like a spiritual journey, I guess, but some guys can do that, where you really have to look at yourself in the mirror and know who you are as a man. Because all masculine value is, and this kind of ties into when it comes to an alpha male, right? Being alpha is a mentality. It's not something that it just comes in whenever you feel like it, okay? Or it's a title, right? Alpha is a mentality. And when it comes to masculine traits, okay? Let's see, please say that molding quote again. I didn't quite. Okay, yeah, I'll say it for you again, Veronica, of course. Women mold men to be men women end up not wanting. I paraphrased that one a little bit just to change up the wording. But men mold women. You gotta understand your value. You gotta understand, look, I'm a strong guy. I understand my values. I lead. I'm the one who's giving the relationship, the ring, the marriage, the title, everything. When a man understands that, he's gonna move discreetly in the marketplace. All right. Oh, I need the.
Oh yeah.
Let me see here. Let me see here. The men mold into yeah. So think about this. I'm gonna get to some of the other things here in just a moment. Let me see. So with men mold, yeah. So you did that already. Please say that molding thing. Great. So let's get to the molding thing, right? So think about it, ladies. When you're molding a man, okay, what some feminists like to try to promote, and even just some girls in general, or they could be just not conservatives, but they're progressives, right? They could be some progressives, and they might be some leftists when it comes to politicians and things like that. These are the ones who want to say, oh, well, men should be more on their feminine side. Men should be softer. They need to talk about things more. They need to get in tune with their feelings more. They need to listen to us more and things like that. Yeah, and then look what happens. You end up not staying with the guy. And then my question to some ladies, if I approach a woman, they tell me these things, well, I think a man should do this and that. You want to know what Chris and I are going to ask you? Okay, so where is this guy? Where is he? Where is he now? Because if you look at statistics when it comes to dating apps and such, or in general, women find 90 to 95% of men out here unattractive.
Yeah, you only want the 10%. And
these are the guys who are feminine. These are the ones who are soft and they're in tune with their emotions and things like that. That's what you're asking for. Those are the men who you're not attracted to.
Yeah.
The ones who you want, and these are the women who are fighting tooth and nail for the 5% and 10%. Those are the ones who are not feminized. Those are the ones who are not beta-tized. Those are the ones who are in their masculine frame, who are alpha, who are go-getters, who understand that they have a purpose. And they understand that they're not gonna let women mold them because they've done the work. You have to understand that high value men, they've done the work already. They've already done so much work to build themselves, so they've already molded. They've already molded so that way you can find them attractive when you first see them. So when women say, well, I think men can mold too, they've already done it. The high value ones have already done it. So when you mold them more into getting into the 90% to 95% who are unattractive, who you find unattractive, that's what you're doing. And the thing also to add on to that, men need to be men. Men are masculine. They have higher emotional intelligence, which means they are in tune with their emotions. They just know how to control it. So if I'm getting into an argument, not even an argument, but like a disagreement, let's say my business partner, Chris, and I, we have a disagreement. I'm not gonna grab this mic and try to hit him with it or flip this table over and then lose my cool, you know what I mean? That's not emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is when I check myself first and I go up to him and say, all right, Chris, look, I don't really agree with your point, okay? I see some of the things you're trying to dispute when it comes to my points, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that. And we, as men, we're going to problem solve, okay? We need to be stoic and problem solve through our differences, and that's typically what we do. And Chris, my business partner, Chris and I, look, we have our disagreements, okay? And we have our disagreements when it comes to girls. We have our disagreements when it comes to
I don't know about that one.
Some things. Not like everything.
We're pretty close on that.
No, yeah, him and I, we agree on 90 to 99%, all right? But that 1%, we can have that disagreement on that 1%, okay? And that's the thing. So, but we're gonna work it out. The point is, we work it out, and we're gonna work it out the same thing with women, okay? Except, as I said on the first podcast, men, don't argue with women, okay? Because what happens is when you argue with a woman, it's, again, like, this emotional thing that comes out, you're giving it to her. And guess what? She's getting the icks now because you're yelling, you're moving, you're throwing hands around, so she's gonna think that you're about to hit her or something, and then she's gonna claim emotional abuse. It happens. That's what happens. So you as a man, you have to tell her, look, I'm not dealing with this. Okay, this is my decision here. If we're not gonna argue about this and dismiss it. Okay, when she's a little bit more calm, of course, listen to her. I'm not saying don't listen to her like that, but if she's getting too emotional and draining your energy, and now you're being a mirrored reflection of what she's doing, which now means you're the leader, you're the follower. When you're arguing with her the way she wants you to argue, look what happens. This is what happens. Now you're equal to her when it comes to making decisions and when it comes to arguments and things like that. She's not going to see you as a leader. She doesn't see you as a higher. She doesn't see you as a superior. She doesn't see you as her knight in shining armor, as the giant she fell for the first time. That's an ick for her, okay? So you have to remain stoic and say, no, listen, I'm not arguing with you. When you're more calm, we'll talk a little bit about this, and then we move on from there, okay? But don't ever argue with a woman, gentlemen, okay? Don't ever do that. And of course,
it's pointless.
It is, because when you argue with her, and let's say you walk away from her, if she starts screaming at you or calling you like derogatory names, I don't listen. I walk away. So I'm not dealing with this, because the thing is, as a man, I have a purpose. I'm going out there busting my butt, trying to put a dent in the universe, add on to the infrastructure. I don't have time to listen to someone who's not doing the same thing that I'm doing, putting all the stresses that I'm doing on myself and building. I'm not gonna argue about, especially like little things, like, oh, well, why didn't we go out to have dinner this one night? And then she starts making a big fuss about it. Absolutely not, absolutely not. What my advice to men on that one is, if you're gonna compliment women and if you're gonna reward them for good behavior, not bad behavior. Because I see a lot of men, when a woman complains or she's getting an attitude with a guy and he feels like, oh, well, let me just take her somewhere so she's not mad at me anymore. You're rewarding her for bad behavior. You shouldn't do that. Absolutely shouldn't do that. Let me see here. Derek, thanks for joining me, man. Sounds like you are afraid of a strong woman. I'm not afraid of I know afraid of women I show my hand. Interesting. Interesting. Well, look, so men, understand this, okay? Derek, I want to address this really quick, and this isn't to attack you, okay? I want to make a point on this one here. I appreciate the comments and such, right? Check this out. When we're talking about intimidation and men who are, I guess, scared of women, there's a point I want to bring up on this. This isn't part of the red flags, but I kind of want to bring this up because Derek Smith brought that up, and I'm glad that you brought this up, actually. Great stuff, my man, great stuff. I hear this thing with women saying that if they travel a lot, or they have a lot of experience, or they get ran through, or they have a lot of money, or they have like big CEO jobs or things like that, and then men don't really want to date them or something like that.
They think they're high status, you know?
Yeah, but women like to say, and they like to tell their friends and say, oh, well, he's intimidated by me. Men aren't intimidated by that.
We just don't want that shit.
We're just not interested in women who have type A and type B personality traits and who are bossy and a headache and things like that. Like, not necessarily all of them are, but that's generally what men don't want. Okay, like you guys have your wants, we have our wants. It's like, to me, this is the quintessential equivalent of a woman saying, because I don't like pickles in my burger, I'm intimidated by pickles. It's a preference.
Yeah, we don't want masculine women.
It's a preference. We don't want masculine women. By nature, we just don't want masculine women. We are naturally distasted by a woman basically trying to act and look like a man, you know, or indoctrinates manly traits. We're not attracted to that. We're just not. We're attracted to femininity. We're attracted to women who are on their feminine side. Okay, that's just generally what we're attracted to. We're not afraid. That's not a thing. Ladies, look, listen, I love women, okay? But nothing pleases me more, and I think I can speak for the gentleman here or anywhere else. Nothing pleases me more and makes me more happy when a woman is entirely in her feminine. Nothing pleases me more because it's natural. And women want to be in their feminine. I think it's such a cope and a cop-out when a woman tells me that, oh, I like being in my masculine. Women aren't happy. They're not happy when they're in their masculine. They're not. It's a phase. It's like a little phase they get into, and then when they hit their 30s and they go into the 40s, they still don't have a man. And then later on, they start realizing, like, wow, like, I still don't have a man. And they don't feel this sense of accomplishment. They don't feel this sense of accomplishment because a man's metric of success is providing resources, making money, and putting a dent in the universe, building the infrastructure, procreating. That is a man's metric of success in this world. A woman's metric of success in this world is not the same thing. A woman's metric of success is she wants to have a family. She wants to get married. She wants to have kids. She wants to be a nurturer. She wants to be with a man, to be feminine with her man. Like this is how natural it is for men and women. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to give you a hard example of how this is natural. If Chris and I, my business partner Chris and I, if we went to a networking event of high status businessmen and women, right? And we're shaking hands with Elon Musk, Michael Jordan, like just giving you some rationals there, right? Some examples. That'll be something, right? Yeah. Oh man, we'll definitely post that on YouTube and everything else, right? What it is, you want to know the question high status men ask us when we go to high networking events? They ask us, what do we do? Mm-hmm. What do we do for a living? What's our business? What do we do? When a woman goes to maybe not a networking event, even though they could, okay, but just a different example, like they go to a family get-together, or maybe they're at a business meeting or a business get-together, and maybe there's like a collaboration somewhere, or with their school.
Yeah.
They're not asked the same question. They're asked, and of course this is when they're in their 20s and close to their 30s and things like, even their 30s and 40s. They're gonna ask, oh, do you have kids? You have a family? That's what women ask each other. At least that's what they ask first, for the most part. So you see the social dynamics is not the same. Men and women are not the same. How we move, how we speak, how we think, how we feel, how we act with prudence, like it's different. It's totally different. So I need both men and women to understand gender roles are a big thing. Like I don't want to talk about that today, but maybe on the next episode when we have guests and such, but that I can throw this in as like a side red flag. Women who do not understand gender roles. And this is a red flag for men too. Like if you guys don't understand your own gender roles, oh boy, you're in trouble. You are in trouble, let me tell you. Let me see here, not all women want to have children. However, they are still like and walk in their femininity.
You skipped a few though, over here.
Oh, I did, I'm so sorry. Okay, Ron, I'll come back to you on that one. Let me see. We said the quote thing already, can't wait for next Tuesday. Yeah, my man, I can't wait. This is great, man. I love having you guys, okay? And you can always ask us questions, my man. You're welcome to watch our podcast anytime, my man. I'm happy to help. Chris and I are happy to help you the best way we can, okay? We want to see success. We want to see success not just with men, but with females, man. I love women to death, man. I want women to be happy with a man, with children, and fulfilling their purposes in life. You know what I mean? Like, let's build society together. That men and women are better together. They've always been better together. Always. Always, no matter what. Not separated. You just see more of it now because of social constructs. You just see more single family households because of social constructs. That's just the way it is. Lawrence, let's see what you got here today. I feel like you speak from the perspective of a high value male. I think it's important to give more advice to help lesser men than you to better themselves to achieve the status. Well, that's why I say, as a man, and I've spoken about this on the first episode of the podcast, men have to build themselves, okay? When you're in college, you're in high school, like anywhere, it is your duty. You have to behoove yourself to understand that you have to build value. Men have to build value in this world. Women are born with value in this world. Men are not born with value in this world. We have to create. We have to create value. Like, look at me, for instance, okay? I'm gonna use myself as a prime example here, okay? Prime example, and hopefully this is gonna be some sort of like an epitome for you guys as well. Me, when I was in school, when I was in college, I wish I knew what I knew now. Oh, I wish. I would have made so many dents in the universe if I knew how to do real estate, if I knew this knowledge that I'm sharing with you guys right now, the gems. I knew about how money works with the gold standard and fiat money, and how the government works with money, and countries, how they work and things like that. I wish I knew all that. And I wish I knew how to start businesses. After I graduated Nova Southeastern University with a master's degree in exercise science, and I ended up getting strength and conditioning certifications from NSCA and the International Society of Sports Nutrition with sports nutrition, I wish I had the knowledge I have now to do something, to do a lot of things, to do many, many things. But I didn't have guidance. I didn't have motive. I didn't have that drive like I'm showing you guys right now, okay? Had I continued going down that same path without being the way I am right now, I'm a man of lesser value, as what Lawrence is saying, because I don't give back. Like, yeah, I think I'm in shape. I go to the gym. I have good habits. I read, and I wish I read more. I wish I read more books about psychology and male and human and female nature and money and democracies and religion and things like that. I wish I did all that when I was younger. Things would have been totally different. Totally different. You don't need a crystal ball to predict that. Of course things will be different, you know? But to my point, you have to build the value. It just doesn't come to you like that. So for the lesser men to answer your statement, Lawrence, and this is a great statement.
We cover all that stuff, you know.
We've covered that. You know, you have to find something that really drives you in this world. Find things that really drive you and try to learn new skills, okay? Whether it's Excel, whether it's getting into infomercials, whether it's making ads on Instagram and YouTube and things like that. There are some jobs. Even Amazon is offering like side hustles for people to make money, okay? There is plenty. if I can tell you something right now, there is plenty of opportunity in this world right now because of social media, because of influence, diversity. There is so much, there's so many opportunities for men to grow in this world. But how badly do you want it? How badly in this world do you want to put a dent in the universe to really make something, to make a difference? Because everything you do, and I've stated this in the first episode of the podcast, everything you do, how you build, the byproduct that comes in is women. As a man, the byproduct comes in, okay? It's just how it is. So you have to be a go-getter. You have to be driven. Be around people. Build a network of people who are going to help you grow. I'm not saying dump your friends to the side because they're not going to. Some friends might not have the same drive, and that's okay. But surround yourself in a networking circle where you feel like you're going to be learning a lot from these people. If you're not around people who are smarter than you, who have more drive than you, and you can't learn from those people, there's no influence. And as I said before on the first episode, influence drives decision. Okay? So you have to make those influences. You have to surround yourself where you're going to be easily influenced by people who are going to make you successful. I'm around my broker. I'm around other people who are way better than I am. And the things I'm sharing with you guys and who I listen to, it all comes from the influence. All right? So my last take on that one, men, it is entirely up to you on what you're going to do to build value. But if you're one of those people who thinks that you could just sit around all day, play video games all day, play Fortnite, Call of Duty, or play board games all the time and watch Netflix, and you're living in a basement somewhere, you're not even getting fit, you're out of shape, you're not doing anything, you're not building. So you can't blame the woman who you're attracted to and then already is judging you by like, whoa, hold on a second, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, he's out of shape, he's got nothing going for himself, he looks like he doesn't take care of himself, he smells bad, the way he talks is not very good, he's not confident when he speaks to me. What do you think she's gonna do? She's not gonna give you the time of day. She's not gonna give you a chance. Just like how with men too, like if a woman comes up to us and we find out she has skeletons in her closet, she has a bad past, we're not gonna give her the time of day. Women have to maintain value. Men have to build value. Understand that. All right. So So good stuff, Lawrence. Very good. And you said something else here. Help men achieve the status to be able to hold their partners accountable and utilize your advice more effectively. Well, this is it, my man. This advice in which I'm giving right now, and all this stuff, me taking the time to really show you guys how to navigate through the sexual marketplace and you guys understanding your values, that's already a lot. And I've already extended it to the point where you guys have to find some drive and find different jobs and different structures and be around people who are going to make you successful. We can talk more about that for sure. Well, way more about that with other videos. But again, this is more on like red flags and things like that. So good stuff, my man. Good stuff. Not all women, Veronica, your turn now, finally. Not all women want to have children, however, they still like and walk in. To tell you the truth, I disagree with that. I genuinely disagree with that. When a woman tells me she doesn't want kids, I don't believe that. I truly don't believe that. I think
it's like an exception, like a 1% or something low like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but like, if it's like a conditional thing where women, something is going on with their biological hardwiring or their bodies in which there's like a risk when they can't have that they can't have kids, and that's a different story. But I genuinely think when a woman tells me that she doesn't want kids, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Because when she meets that guy who is exceptional and ticks off all her boxes, what do we talk about? Women break rules for men who they like.
That's true.
So when she finds that guy, all these belief systems that she has with, I'm not going to have kids because I just don't want kids. No, man. I don't think so. That's my thought on that one. I'm not, you're not wrong, but I just have my disagreement on that. But that's good stuff. That's good, Veronica. Very good. I like that. But to add on to what you're saying, however, they're still like a walk in their femininity. Yeah, of course, because it's natural for them to be in their feminine. So when I hear a woman saying that she likes to be in her masculine, she's very aggressive when she talks, I know she's not happy. I know women who are in their masculine, they're not happy. They're not. Or that, and a man has not come into her life to put her in her place, to put her in her femininity. And it shouldn't even be that way. Like, men shouldn't have to force femininity on a woman. a woman should just be feminine by nature. Like the moment, if I go out with a girl and she tells me some dumb nonsense, oh, you have to earn my femininity. You know what I'm gonna do? I'll go on a second date with her and I'll wear lipstick. I'll probably wear a wig and wear a dress and high heels and paint my nails. And she's gonna question that. She's gonna be like, what is this? Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention, you have to earn my masculinity. So you really think it's a good deal that you're masculine off rip, but she needs to be put into her femininity because you have to work for it? Absolutely not, man. Give me a break. Give me a break. You can call that a red flag too if you'd like. You can call that a red flag, let me tell you. Let me see here. I love many women. Me too, my man, me too. Women are beautiful. Women are beautiful, my man. There's a world without women, what the heck are we gonna do, man? Lawrence, let me see. There's so much more to being a successful man in society than work. Well, you could be successful having a family, of course. You could be successful in hobbies and friendships and things like that. There's metrics to success for a lot of things. But we're talking about how women see success in men. That's the main thing. I can tell myself, well, I'm successful with running this podcast, let's say, right? But I don't have any finances. I don't have a house. I'm living on the street or something. That's just something kind of extreme like that. It is the woman who decides. It is the woman. The opposite gender is the one who decides if you are high value. And same thing with the male seeing if the woman is high value. All right. So that's basically what it is, right? Let me see here. Would you be interested in exploring deeper into that? How to build value? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll definitely do that. Let me see, Veronica. Now, I personally know a woman who is as feminine as it gets. As feminist as it gets, yeah. Because she spent most of her adolescence raising her siblings. She has no absolute desire for kids. Yeah, but you see, that's considered an anecdote. That's an anecdote. That's not the norm. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, it's that hard exception. And a lot of women, not all, of course, they try so hard to be exceptions to the rule, but they're not. It's just not. It's just the one time, the small percentage that actually happens. It's fine, you know. Like it's not. I still don't believe that. You know what I mean? Because again, if she happens to find that guy who she really likes, you'd be surprised how quickly she changes her mind. And again, this is natural. This is natural for women to be in. Like I want women to have families. I want women to be happy with men. Like this is how we build our society, you know what I mean? But back to what Lawrence was saying and such, right? Like, it is, like I said before, the opposite sex is the one who decides if you are high value. Because at the end of the day, like, you're the one who decides who gets the relationship. But the ball's back in her court to see if she wants to stick to the relationship, if she's asking for it, you know what I mean? Same thing if a woman tells me she's high value. She's high value and she's giving me all these arbitraries, all these things that don't really matter to me. Like, if I ask a woman right now, what most women will tell me is, okay, so what do you bring to the table? Which I don't like to ask that question. I really don't. But if it comes down to it, like if a guy decides to ask, here's what happens. Here's what women tend to usually say. Like not all women, again, like this generation for the most part, the feminists and things like that, or even women who just don't have father figures or they're just around not so great people. You know, like they don't have guidance. What most of them will end up saying is, oh, well, I can make you laugh. I can keep you, I'm good company. I can watch Sex and the City with you. I'm into sports and things like that. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But if I want to play sports, or if sports is something, I could just go play basketball with my friends. If I want company, I can hang out with my male friends who give me more pragmatic advice. If I want to laugh, I could just remember like a memory in my head, or I could watch a comedy show and laugh. You know what I mean? Like those aren't real. You gotta give me something that's tangible. You know, give me something that's actual tangible. Like if a woman comes up to me, hypothetically, and she tells me, oh, like I'm pure, I'm a virgin, I know how to respect men, I'm religious, I believe in nuclear families, I want to have kids, I want to have a family, I can be in your frame, I know how to keep men. She's not gonna say all this like that, how I'm saying it, of course. But if she knows how to keep a man, that's a challenge. Not all women know how to be submissive to their men. Not all women know how to respect men. Not all women understand how to be complimentary towards the man lifestyle and respect him and allow him to lead. Those are truly things that men look for in women. Not those other things like, oh, I can watch Netflix with you and I like Cheetos. We can eat Cheetos together. We don't care about that. We really don't. Like that's after the fact. That's after the fact that we actually see value in you. But that's my point. Like the opposite gender is the one who decides if you're really bringing value and if you are successful, you know? Let me see here. Yeah, of course. So this is great stuff, guys. I'm liking everything that's going on here and such. And so we got to the party girls and such. My last point, my last red flag here is, this is probably one of the bigger ones. She is a feminist.
Well, that one's easy.
Okay, that's a no-brainer, honestly. She's a feminist. Like, and we can go back into this whole history about first wave, second wave, third wave, and current wave feminism right now. But when these are the ones who are going to be more disagreeable with you, they're going to argue with you. They think that most of their opinions matter way more than your opinion. They don't let you lead. Like these red flags that I've already stated is actually to a degree contributed to a feminist. Like they're the ones who are more leftist. They're the ones who don't want to hold themselves accountable for their responsibilities. They don't want to do that. So if they make a mistake, then they're going to be like, oh, it's all good. But then when you hold them accountable for something, they don't want to bear responsibility. They don't want to bear responsibility for anything. They're just going to be a headache to you. They're going to make your life miserable, and most of them are generally not very happy. They might act happy, but most of them generally are not. So when you're trying, and they're masculine as hell. They're super duper masculine. Like these are the ones that truly think that if I act like a man, men are going to find me more attractive. Basically, feminism lies to women. I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? Feminism is like one of the biggest scams when it comes to societal history. One of the biggest scams. And I'll tell you why it's a scam. The reason why it's a scam is because at the core roots of society, patriarchy runs society. It's just that patriarchy is giving the enforcement arm when it comes to feministic ideals, okay? And we can get into way more of the political side. But at its core, I'm gonna give you a reason why it's a scam at its core. If we go into World War III or any type of war, and feminism wants to promote equalism, right? Everyone's equal. Okay, equal rights, equal this. Now, feminism had its purpose in the past. Like I do believe that women should have equal opportunities when it comes to jobs and monetary values, right? That they do the same amount of work and they get paid the same as men. Yeah, of course, but that's because they're doing the same work, okay? And they're not getting short-ended. That's where feminism, I think, is at its best, when it really gave women a chance to have these types of things, right? And then moving forward on that. But we can talk more about the history and such. I don't really want to get too much into that for now. But these are the ones that are going to be truly masculine. They're going to be unbearable for you. They're going to fight with you all the time. But back to the examples I was giving you. And if, let's say you come in and you're living with let's say you're living with a feminist and you're living in a nice house and someone robs you. Let's say you're the man and you go protect her, right? Oh, honey, I got this. And you protected her. You did your duty as a man to protect her, right? Rightfully so. Now you're safe. But then you get robbed the second time, let's just say. And then the man says, okay, honey, you believe that everything is equal? Your turn. You really think the woman is gonna do that? Is gonna put herself in danger like that? She's gonna look at you like you're some moron and say, oh no, I'm not doing that. You're the man. You're supposed to do it. You just threw away your feminism ideas out the window. Just like that. So that's how I know when it comes to the core root, when it comes to gender roles, you don't truly believe that. And another example, World War III. It hasn't happened, but I hope it doesn't happen. But if we get into any sort of war and the government wants to draft people, the moment the government says, well, okay, so men are going to get drafted, and because we're equal, feminism, okay, 50% men are going to get drafted, 50% women are going to get drafted. You really think most women are going to say, yeah, I'm going to go out, hold a gun, and then get shot, potentially get hurt, and I'm not going to really have like a lot of strength to carry injured men and things like that? You really think women are going to do that? And again, this isn't to attack women. This isn't to attack you guys at all. But I'm just telling you that you guys will dump the ideas of feminism straight out the door when it boils down to your psyche, when it comes to instinct, when it comes to gender roles. That's what it boils down to. You throw away all the ideas. The feminists, what most of them will say is that they want equality when it benefits them, but they don't want equality when it doesn't benefit them. So that's why it's a big headache. It's just going to be a huge headache when you're dealing with things like that. When it comes down to it, the core, they don't truly believe in it. They can say, feminists should do this and that. No, you don't. No, you don't. And on top of that, what are you fighting for? What are you fighting for? Like, women right now, like, they're the most privileged. Like, we make so many laws, and we even have the 19th Amendment for them to vote and such. Like, the government and the law and society has bent over for a lot of things that women wanted. A lot of things. So you guys are, again, I love women, but you guys are in an extremely privileged position. Okay, extremely privileged. So I think that's what feminists don't understand. But again, it boils down to gender roles at the end of the day, and that's why I think that it's a whole scam, because you guys, the feminists, they just dump all the ideas out the window when the time comes for them to. Because when it's time for them to really give into it, they're not going to give into it when it matters. That's why. So that's covering the feminist aspect, right? And I went into a little bit more detail. The other thing here, and this is my last point here, I think we'll wrap it up here. We're going to wrap it up after this last one here, is the other red flag. I kind of just threw this in here. She does not understand consequences. She does not understand what consequences are for her actions. There are so many, and this is men too, by the way. It's not just women, of course, but women, people who, in general, this is just in general, people who don't understand consequences for their actions are incredibly irresponsible. Incredibly irresponsible. Because I've seen relationships where, I've seen situationships, I've seen even lesbian couples, same thing. Like, I've seen lesbian couples where their significant other, their partner, okay, cheats on them, and then you still end up staying with them. And you see your partner getting hit up by guys, and she's giving her number out to a whole bunch of other men, or maybe she's going out clubbing by herself, and you, whether it's a woman or a man, you are not holding her accountable for her mistakes and things that she shouldn't be doing. When you do that, you have effectively put yourself in a situationship. Yep, you have effectively put yourself in a situationship, because not only does she not respect you, not only does she not take you serious, but the fact that she's just kind of making her own rules, and you're in her frame, and you're kind of just allowing her to promote bad behavior, you're not in a real relationship with this person. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're allowing women to cheat on you, and you are just whatever about it. I know polygamy is, that's something for some people, but the fact that you're allowing a person to cheat on you, and you have this talk or whatever, and then she still goes out and promotes bad behavior, you just put yourself in a situationship, and she's going to keep disrespecting you. It's not a flex for me if someone tells you, oh, I'm in a relationship. Yeah, you're not in a relationship, you're in a situationship. I see her talking to a whole bunch of other guys, gives her number out. She probably hangs out with them when you're not around, probably is intimate with some guys, cheated on you already, and you allowed it to happen because you didn't put your foot down because you're afraid to look bad or you're scared of losing the person. That's another thing for you men. You cannot be afraid to lose a woman. I'm going to tell you that right now. You cannot be afraid to lose your significant other when she makes a mistake, when he or she makes a mistake, because it is your responsibility to maintain your frame, maintain your masculinity, and if that partner or person is not going to be well within your frame, you need to let her go or him go, all right? It is not worth it. It is totally not worth it when you are allowing your significant other to promote bad behavior because you're too afraid to put your foot down because you're scared of losing her and because you don't have options and because you're not growing yourself. Let that sink in, all right? So with that, guys, I think that'll basically do, okay? That great episode. I think we got in tune with a lot of you guys. I appreciate you guys really joining. Remember, we're on Instagram, YouTube.
We're on everything, really. X, Rumble, Discord.
Basically everything.
Yeah,
Angelica, thanks for joining. And Sandra, thanks for joining. And Joseph, last question here. Maybe she doesn't want right now. Yeah, of course. I've already mentioned that. She just has to find the right guy and you're good to go. Marco, thanks for joining. All right, excellent. Appreciate all you guys for joining. But this is pretty much it, guys. Thanks again for joining up tonight. This is Leo and Chris from the Unplugging, signing out.
All right.